unsur pimpinan mulai dekan, wakil dekan, ketua program studi, bidang sarana prasarana, dan keuangan. Aktivitas para pengajar berada di lantai 3 dan 4, bersamaan dengan sejumlah ruang layanan seperti administrasi profesi, apoteker, administrasi pasca sarjana, ruang baca, dan musola.
Selain sumber daya manusia yang mumpuni, kebutuhan sarana dan prasarana pendukung untuk pendidikan dan penelitian juga sangat dibutuhkan. Dunia terus berubah, sehingga kebutuhan sarana untuk pendidikan pun juga berubah. Di era digitalisasi dan revolusi industri ini, kami berusaha untuk menyediakan high quality data yang itu akan sangat penting untuk pendidikan dan penelitian. Untuk itu, berbagai laboratorium seperti multi-purpose laboratory dan multi-purpose dry laboratory di Fakultas Farmasi ini disiapkan untuk tempat dilaksanakannya praktikum pelatihan skill bagi mahasiswa di segala jenjang, baik jenjang sarjana, magister, dan doktor. Tempat tersebut juga kami siapkan untuk tempat penelitian bagi para peneliti, baik itu dosen atau peneliti lain yang berminat di dunia farmasi. Kami berharap penelitian dan pengembangan berbagai produk obat dapat dilaksanakan di Fakultas Farmasi ini karena kami memiliki berbagai peralatan yang mencukupi untuk hal tersebut.
Sementara itu, lantai 5 dan 6 menyediakan ruang kuliah yang representatif. Ruang kuliah dilengkapi akses Wi-Fi di semua ruang. 11 ruang kelas dengan kapasitas 60-300 orang dan 11 ruang diskusi sekaligus sebagai ruang objective structure clinical examination dengan kapasitas 15 orang per kelas serta computer based test center dengan kapasitas 120 PC di lantai 6. Setingkat lebih tinggi di atasnya, pusat pembelajaran sekaligus penelitian menyediakan fasilitas lab yang modern dan berteknologi tinggi. Multi-purpose dry laboratory, laboratorium preskripsi, laboratorium farmasetika sedian steril dan mikrobiologi, sampai laboratorium botani farmakognisi. Di lantai 8 dan 9, Fakultas Farmasi juga menyediakan laboratorium teknologi farmasi dan mini industri, laboratorium nanomaterial dan kinetika, laboratorium analisis farmasi, multi-purpose wet laboratory, dan laboratorium fitokimia. Peran researcher juga dimanjakan dengan hadirnya ruang dan fasilitas khusus untuk penelitian di lantai 10 berupa laboratorium studi in vitro dan laboratorium hewan.
Dalam rangka pengembangan data untuk penelitian, kami selalu menyediakan alat-alat yang selalu mengikuti perkembangan zaman, mulai dari alat produksi, quality assurance, hingga pengujian, baik itu pada hewan coba maupun secara in vitro. Kami juga selalu menyediakan standar operating procedure atau SOP yang selalu tertera di setiap alat, sehingga mahasiswa atau peneliti yang menggunakan tanpa terjadi kesalahan. Selain itu, kami juga bergabung dengan tim pengembangan obat COVID-19 di Universitas Airlangga dengan berpartisipasi pada berbagai penelitian, mulai dari penelitian dasar secara in vitro dengan cara mengujikan berbagai obat termasuk obat kombinasi pada viral, dan juga melakukan modifikasi atau formulasi sehingga diharapkan akan didapatkan cara penggunaan yang menguntungkan. Dan juga kami bergabung dalam tim uji klinik untuk mengujikan produk obat dari Universitas Airlangga di rumah sakit, khususnya di Rumah Sakit Universitas Airlangga.
Sementara dalam mewujudkan keselamatan kerja, gedung Nanizar juga dilengkapi water treatment dan pengolahan limbah terintegrasi, akses water pump untuk pemadam kebakaran di setiap lantai, serta fire sprinkle, APAR, alarm peringatan bahaya, sampai tangga darurat. Dalam menunjang mobilisasi di gedung, tersedia lift yang menghubungkan basement parkir sampai lantai 10 gedung Nanizar.
Mengapa saya memilih farmasi dan mengapa di Unair? Karena saya sejak kecil memiliki cita-cita untuk menjadi seorang tenaga kesehatan yang bisa membantu kesehatan di Indonesia, terutama dalam bidang obat-obatan. Lalu, mengapa di Unair? Karena Farmasi Universitas Airlangga memiliki sertifikat yang tidak banyak dimiliki oleh farmasi universitas lainnya. Saya amat merasa bersyukur karena difasilitasi dengan gedung yang amat megah yang bisa mewadahi semua keperluan mahasiswanya dengan baik, terutama dalam bidang praktikum kami. Pertama, Fakultas Farmasi memiliki 10 lantai yang bisa dioptimalkan secara baik untuk kegiatan akademik dan non-akademik. Di laboratorium kami pun memiliki banyak sekali alat-alat yang lengkap, sehingga bisa mengoptimalkan kami dalam kegiatan praktikum, dan kami sangat nyaman berada di Fakultas Farmasi Universitas Airlangga.
Selain daripada belajar, di sini juga banyak sekali kegiatan-kegiatan kampus seperti di kesenian, ada olahraga, ada keagamaan, ataupun badan eksekutif mahasiswa. Nah, untuk saya sendiri khususnya, saya ikut di kegiatan organisasi keagamaan di DKI Farmasi. Nah, di situ karena saya pikir, selain daripada kuliah, saya juga harus punya teman yang sepreferensi gitu, khususnya di bidang keagamaan. Ya, karena fasilitasnya sangat memadai tadi, terus kenyamanan juga, ada dosen yang sangat berkompeten, sehingga proses belajar mengajar baik di kelas maupun di luar kelas itu sangat efektif, sangat efisien. Ya, sehingga dari situ bisa menghasilkan output yang mahasiswa itu lebih bisa berprestasi baik di internasional maupun di nasional sendiri.
Berkuliah di Fakultas Farmasi merupakan hal yang sangat menarik bagi saya, karena di sini terdapat banyak sekali fasilitas yang baik dan dapat menunjang dalam melakukan inovasi penelitian yang nantinya akan berguna di masyarakat umum. Hal ini membuat saya terpacu dan termotivasi untuk menjadikan alumni yang berinovasi, memberikan manfaat kepada masyarakat umum, serta membanggakan Universitas Airlangga.
Di kawasan Kampus B, Fakultas Farmasi memiliki unit layanan pengujian ULP. Keberadaannya sudah mendapatkan ISO 17025, standar akreditasi laboratorium pengujian dan kalibrasi. ULP mendapatkan kepercayaan sebagai laboratorium dalam menguji mutu dan keamanan bahan dan produk obat, pangan, dan kosmetika. Ini didukung dari instrumen canggih dan ketersediaan ruangan yang berpotensi terus berkembang. Selain sebagai laboratorium pengujian, ULP juga digunakan sebagai tempat penelitian bagi dosen, mahasiswa, khususnya S1, S2, dan S3. Dalam rangka menyediakan wahana praktik bagi para mahasiswa calon apoteker, Fakultas Farmasi juga memfasilitasi diri dengan Apotek Farmasi Airlangga. Sebagai apotek pendidikan, apotek ini menunjang kegiatan akademik sebagai wahana praktik dan tempat pelatihan pengabdian profesi mahasiswa S1 Farmasi dan profesi apoteker Fakultas Farmasi Unair. Apotek Farmasi juga memberikan layanan farmasi kepada publik. Selain apotek farmasi, mahasiswa farmasi juga memanfaatkan Rumah Sakit Universitas Airlangga digunakan sebagai lokasi praktik kerja profesi apoteker dalam bidang rumah sakit. Dengan semakin berkembangnya ilmu farmasi, farmasi kini telah merambah layanan kesehatan terhadap pasien yang disebut dengan farmasi klinis. Layanan ini tidak terbatas pada penerimaan resep dan pemberian obat, namun juga melakukan interaksi dengan pasien dan kolaborasi tenaga medis lain seperti dokter dan perawat. Ini menjadi jalan dalam mewujudkan proses Tridharma Perguruan Tinggi Farmasi Universitas Airlangga lewat dukungan fasilitas yang memadai.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the international webinar entitled Strengthening International Partnerships in Supporting the Achievement of the Sustainable Development Goals, or SDGs. This webinar is organized by Faculty of Pharmacy, Universitas Airlangga, in order to contribute in achieving the Sustainable Development Goals as a single entity of the Faculty of Pharmacy and as a part of the global community. I am Putri Paramita, and will be your moderator for today's webinar. This is the schedule of the webinar. We will have the national anthem of Indonesia and hymn of Universitas Airlangga first, then the opening speech by the Dean of Faculty of Pharmacy. Next up, the main agenda. We will have two speakers in the first session, Professor Ines Kras from University of Sydney, and Dr. Iman Harimawan from Universitas Airlangga, and the discussion later on. In the second session, we have Dr. Alemayehu Mekonnen from Deakin University and Professor Fumitaka Fujita from University of Osaka as our speaker, which will be continued with discussion. And lastly, the closing and announcement. Let's begin with the first agenda. For all participants, please position yourself to sit upright for the national anthem of Indonesia. Indonesia Raya. Himne Airlangga.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next agenda is the opening speech from the Dean of Faculty of Pharmacy, Universitas Airlangga, Profesor Apoteker Junaidi Khotib, Magister Kesehatan, Doctor of Philosophy. Please welcome Professor Junaidi Khotib.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning everyone and welcome to Surabaya. Firstly, let us praise the presence of God that we can be here for welcoming and joining together with honorable speaker at the virtual webinar Sustainable Development Goals SDGs series with theme Strengthening International Partnership in Supporting the Achievement of the SDGs that organized by Faculty of Pharmacy, Universitas Airlangga. Secondly, I would like to convey the highest respect and appreciation to my colleagues who have agreed to be speaker and share their experiences in this important moment. They are Professor Ines Grass, University of Sydney, Australia, Professor Fumitaka Fujita, Osaka University, Japan, Dr. Alima Yehu Mekonnen, Deakin University, Australia, and this webinar also involved the speaker, Dr. Iman Harimawan from Airlangga University, Indonesia, and now he is a director of Airlangga Global Engagement. The third, I also distribute my gratitude to the rector, vice rector of Universitas Airlangga, vice dean, of course, all committee who have worked very hard and well prepared for this event. Then I would like to thank all participants that distribute from several countries, Malaysia, India, Bangladesh, Brunei Darussalam, and of course Indonesia, for joining in this virtual seminar with the Zoom and YouTube platforms. Ladies and gentlemen, the virtual webinar Sustainable Development Goals SDG series of Faculty of Pharmacy, Universitas Airlangga, with theme Strengthening International Partnership in Supporting the Achievement of the SDGs. This virtual international webinar is a part of our 59 years of faculty's anniversary for this year in 2022. We would like to thank for your coming to be our speaker in this post-pandemic era. We hope we continue the engagement to strengthen our ongoing collaboration and realizing the achievement of the SDGs. This collaboration will be very meaningful for us. Sharing strategy in this collaboration and partnership is the best way to solve some global issues, especially in sustainable development goals, including pharmacy education and for the improvement of global mobility programs. The 70 aspects in SDGs can be achieved, such as education, good health and well-being, industry, and innovation, partnership for the goal, and others. I expected that many potential collaboration between Universitas Airlangga and our valuable partner in the World can achieve the SDGs together and create more positive impact on the local, national, and global. Finally, with the Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, the virtual webinar Sustainable Development Goals, SDG series with theme Strengthening International Partnership in Supporting the Achievement of the SDGs officially open. Thank you very much. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you very much, Professor, for the warm welcome and the opening remark. Now we will have a brief photo session. We ask for everyone in this Zoom to turn on your camera on your device. Please give your best smile. The committee will take the capture in seconds. 1, 2, 3. Okay, it's all done. Thank you. Before moving on to the main schedule, let me address this reminder briefly. Each participant is entitled to an e-certificate of participation after completing the requirements. The requirements are: first, participants have to attend the webinar via Zoom. And second, participants need to fill out the attendance list at the following link, no later than 11 AM GMT +7. The link will also be dropped in the chat box. Participants can address the question for the speakers with the following format: participant's name, _ask, _speaker's name, _ the question.
Internasional, pelopor dalam pengembangan ilmu di bidang sains teknologi kefarmasian dan farmasi klinik komunitas, serta menghasilkan lulusan dengan kompetensi unggul dalam pharmaceutical care berdasarkan moral agama.
Di era yang modern ini, farmasi hadir melewati perjalanan setengah abad yang luar biasa dengan menggelar pendidikan akademik dan profesi seperti program studi sarjana, pendidikan apoteker, magister farmasi klinis, magister ilmu farmasi, dan doktor ilmu farmasi, mengembangkan sains, pengabdian masyarakat dan kolaborasi demi terciptanya Smart University. Aktivitas kegiatan pembelajaran mahasiswa Fakultas Farmasi Universitas Airlangga menghasilkan output unggul, dibarengi dengan penelitian staf pengajar yang didanai dari hasil joint research dan juga pemerintah, hibah dana kerjasama dengan mitra luar negeri. Hasilnya, beberapa staf pengajar telah memperoleh penghargaan dari DY Prize Foundation Amerika Serikat, Kemenristek, Media Nasional, sampai Bakri Award ke-12 di bidang kesehatan. Sementara itu, lebih dari 50 kegiatan pengabdian masyarakat yang dilakukan oleh dosen Fakultas Farmasi UNAIR per tahunnya. Kegiatan Pengmas tersebut meliputi Pengmas lokal, area wilayah Surabaya, Pengmas regional meliputi area Gerbang Kertasusila, bahkan Provinsi Jawa Timur, dan Pengmas nasional yang diadakan di seluruh wilayah Indonesia, antara lain Maumere NTT, Lombok, dan Kalimantan Timur.
Keunggulan institusi ditentukan oleh inovasi, implementasi teknologi, dan networking. Fakultas Farmasi mengembangkan program networking akselerasi menuju Smart University dalam mewujudkan Smart University terkait dengan pengembangan networking baik dalam negeri maupun luar negeri, seluruh aspek tridharma perguruan tinggi. Fakultas Farmasi Universitas Airlangga terakreditasi unggul LAMPTKes,
terakreditasi internasional ASIN, tersertifikasi ASEAN University Network, terus menjaring mahasiswa internasional dan dosen pengajar berlevel internasional di seluruh aspek tridharma perguruan tinggi. Kolaborasi internasional telah terjalin dengan perguruan tinggi farmasi di seluruh benua Asia, Amerika, Eropa, dan Australia. Kerjasama pendidikan dapat dilihat dari berbagai ekspertis dosen pengajar di seluruh mata ajar, berbagai kemitraan perguruan tinggi, dan lembaga terkait pendidikan. Kerjasama riset ditunjukkan dengan joint publication, international consortium, asosiasi profesi internasional, serta beberapa penghargaan internasional bereputasi yang diperoleh Civitas Academica. Produk riset berstandar nasional telah dapat diterima menjadi pilihan masyarakat. Dalam community services, ekspertis dan kepakaran dosen Fakultas Farmasi UNER diakui oleh masyarakat sebagai konsultan dan tenaga ahli. Aktivitas kerjasama Fakultas Farmasi telah memberikan aspek yang signifikan dalam aspek good health and well-being di parameter Sustainable Development Goals. Terus melebarkan sayapnya, menjaring networking bersama top 100 world class university pharmacy untuk mensejajarkan posisinya di kancah dunia.
Farmasi Universitas Airlangga punya daya saing yang diakui dengan keberadaan sumber daya tangible dan intangible resources. Hasilnya, sumber daya mengantarkan mahasiswa meraih prestasi regional, nasional, dan internasional. Ini juga tidak lepas dari dukungan sarana prasarana sesuai dengan SNDGs, yaitu telah memiliki peralatan dan media pendidikan, buku, sarana teknologi informasi dan komunikasi, kelas, instrumen eksperimen di lab yang terpusat di Gedung Nanizar Zaman Yunus berlantai 10 di Kampus C. Fakultas Farmasi juga melahirkan produk-produk sediaan obat, baik obat tradisional berupa obat herbal terstandar maupun formula obat modern, isolasi dan sintetis senyawa, bahan alam yang telah memperoleh haki, pemenuhan layanan jasa, dan peningkatan pengetahuan masyarakat.
Fakultas Farmasi Universitas Airlangga selalu berkomitmen untuk senantiasa memberikan manfaat yang sebesar-besarnya bagi masyarakat melalui pengembangan pendidikan berkualitas, penelitian bermanfaat, dan pengabdian kepada masyarakat melalui kerjasama dengan para stakeholder, perguruan tinggi, rumah sakit, industri farmasi, serta lembaga pemerintahan sebagai wujud keberadaan kami dalam rancangan Smart University.
Ladies and gentlemen, we will start the first half of the main session with two speakers. To start the first session, we will have Professor Ines Kras to present her topic entitled Strategy to Build Partnerships of University of Sydney. Hello, Professor Kras.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning, Professor.
Okay. Yeah, can I share my screen, please?
Yeah, after I give a brief introduction about you. First of all, allow me to introduce Professor Kras briefly. She is the professor in pharmacy practice in the School of Pharmacy, University of Sydney, Australia, with reputable expertise in health services research in community pharmacy, as evidenced through numbers of book chapters and hundreds of referred publications. Professor Kras?
Yes?
You will be having 20 minutes for your presentation. Okay, please, the screen is yours.
Okay, I shall share my screen. Okay. Okay. Right, okay, can everybody hear me now?
Yes.
Professor.
Excellent. Okay, all right, so I'll get started. So thank you very much for the invitation to speak to you today. My thanks to Professor Khatib and Professor Hariadi for inviting me to participate in this webinar. So as was said in my introduction, I'm actually a Professor Emerita, which means I'm actually retired, but still active to some extent. But I come from the University of Sydney, and you can see a photograph there on the right-hand side of the slide. So what I want to cover today basically is to talk about my experience, things from my experience, things that have worked to help me develop international collaborations. And I hope that these learnings will actually be useful to you to some extent. But anyway, we'll have time to discuss that later on. So our focus, of course, is good health and well-being, which is sustainable goal number 3, which is one that realistically pharmacy can contribute to. The first step, of course, to develop collaborations is to identify suitable partners. And I want to share with you how I've gone about doing that throughout my career, how you then go on to build those relationships. And ultimately, if you want it to work, you do need to look around for opportunities for funding to actually make collaborative projects feasible to conduct. So I'm going to touch on all of those areas coming up. So, of course, we're talking about the good health and well-being of the population. That's what we seek to do with our research, or to achieve with our research. So step 1 is identifying suitable collaborative partners, and in my experience, a very effective strategy for this is to attend conferences, and it's in fact what I've done. Early in my career, I had the opportunity to attend an international conference, and this was the beginning, if you will, of my international collaboration. I met people there with whom I had common interests. I was able to organise visits and subsequent sabbaticals, and that was key to actually developing future partnerships. So the first conference that I attended was back in 1996. This was the International Social Pharmacy Workshop. This is a meeting that took place every 2 years. It started in 1980 in Finland. And this was started by a group of researchers who are very interested in developing pharmacy, health services in pharmacy, focusing on the social meaning of pharmacy and medicines. And it was, a varied group, but included pharmacists, but not exclusively. There were social scientists, etc., sociologists, and this was very, very, very useful. So at this meeting, I met 2 very important people with whom I connected and organised to visit them on a sabbatical 2 years later, essentially. Another very important collaborative group, which I've been part of, in fact our university's been part of, is the Pharmaceutical Care Network Europe. This group started out with the idea of exactly this, of collaborating, of providing an opportunity to develop very high quality evidence around the benefits of pharmaceutical care. In the early days, they got they were successful in getting grants to implement large-scale research projects around asthma and pharmaceutical care for the elderly. In more recent times, it's been more difficult to get funding, but they have continued at their meetings to develop tools and resources, and then researchers go back to their own countries and they continue to interact and refine these resources. They developed a taxonomy, for example, for the classification of drug-related problems, which I think is very widely used. So this is really a really key group to become involved with. And even though it says Pharmaceutical Care Network Europe, they do accept membership from countries other than those that are in Europe. So it's a worthwhile group to get involved with. And the final one is the International Pharmaceutical Federation. Of course, this is a very large grouping, involves countries across the world. And they hold meetings annually, and usually they're attended by up to 4,000 people. And these meetings are a fantastic opportunity to connect with other researchers, other pharmacists, and they allow the development of collaborations. And in fact, with FIP, I have personally not benefited so much from, because I only attended intermittently, but my is there some problem? Hello? Okay. So essentially, people who attend, my colleagues who from the School of Pharmacy, who've attended this meeting on a regular basis have been very successful in attracting postgraduate students and setting up collaborations. So it's definitely a meeting that's worthwhile. Okay, moving on then. Study leave, sabbaticals, and visits to other universities. I've already mentioned that I was able to establish a connection with the two researchers at my first international conference, and this enabled me to spend 3 months at the University of Wisconsin-Madison with Professor Bonis Farstad, and following on from that, I went to Denmark to spend time with Professor Ellen Sorensen, and during that time I also visited the University of Leeds. Now, I chose University of Wisconsin because Bonis Farstad had an interest in medicines information, so that was one of the areas of research interest for me. And Denmark was important in that they had a lot of expertise in using qualitative methods in research, and and developing theories. I wanted to learn more about that. Professor Thea Rayner in Leeds is also a national and international expert in medicines information. So the question that I set out to answer during my sabbatical in Wisconsin was, how can we evaluate and improve medicines information? So I developed a measure and implemented it and validated it with a US consumer group. And that you can see a photograph of Bonis Farstad there, and Professor Janine Mount, and then Professor Thea Rayner, who I visited later on. But the net result of this was that a validated instrument was published back in 2002. And we then, in Australia, set out to validate that instrument in our own Australian population. And then the visits that I made during that time culminated in an international collaborative project, which was looking at consumer information, a comparative study, if you will, across the United States, Europe, and Australia. The other area of interest at the time was medication review. So we were interested in how pharmacists could contribute to optimize medication use in patients. Tim Chen, who was a PhD student then, now a professor of pharmacy in our school, he developed a model, and we implemented it and tested it and developed some evidence around it. And that was published. And the very important thing about this was that the results of this study actually generated a lot of interest. So they contributed to the evidence to support funding of this service in Australia, but also internationally, there were a lot of groups who were very interested in the idea of medication review. And so it led to further collaborations. So, for example, when I was in Copenhagen, the group there were very interested in developing their own Danish model of HMR, and there was a grant application produced at the time, which I helped, which I contributed to, and it was actually successful. And then eventually they launched this program some years later and developed their own national evidence around HMR. We also considered at the time that it was very useful to formalize our relationship and encourage the exchange of students. So there was an agreement signed. The idea was that students would come to us, particularly master's students, to complete their research project, and that we would send some students to them. Ultimately, this was not sustainable because certainly we received quite a number of students from Denmark, but it was much more difficult for Australian students to go to Denmark because of the costs involved. Okay, so the next, of course, students are a very important part of this story. And of course, I've had a number of international students come to work with me, and I guess to some extent it has come about from attending conferences, but also from my publications, people becoming aware of the sort of work that I was doing and writing to me and asking if they can come. And this certainly happened in the case of Hani and Andy, who you can see there. I've also had PhD students coming from Saudi Arabia, and Dr. Hadi Al-Mansour, who's on the top of this screen, he just completed his PhD last year. And I also had a student from Thailand, and then once she went back to her university at Konkan, she sent me her PhD student to work with me. So one thing leads to another, as you can see. I've also had students coming to do master's projects. So we had a number from Utrecht. Once again, this was a connection that I made at the social pharmacy workshop, and we had a number from Denmark. And in fact, this lady here, whose name is Dr. Charlotte Rossing, she's the head of research at Pharmacon in Denmark, and it was a very important role. She was doing her PhD at the time that I was visiting on sabbatical, and that directly led to her coming to Australia in the following year, where she completed some of her data analysis and started writing some papers, to which I became a co-author. And I had a visit from a postdoctoral, or a lecturer, in fact, from Naresuan University in Thailand. And that really came about because he had, I guess, read my papers, and he came to meet me at one of the social pharmacy workshops, which was held in Thailand. Okay, so, and the final thing, of course, is responding to requests from international collaborators. So, I guess as you start to publish more, and if you publish work that is of interest to international collaborators, they will approach you. And this is indeed what happened. We developed and validated a measure of interprofessional collaboration between physicians and pharmacists. This is the work of Dr. Connie Van, who was, she was a PhD student at the time, and she's since gone on to become a lecturer. But she set about this in a very systematic way. She did qualitative research to understand the factors that influence interprofessional collaboration. And then she developed a model with each of these dimensions and converted this into a quantitative measure. So essentially, this was then it was tested and validated in samples of pharmacists and GPs, and you can see that quite a number of publications emerged from that research work. But it generated a lot of interest, so we had a lot of inquiries from international researchers initially, and students. Initially, it was a student who approached me, Anna Dana from the north of Germany. She wanted to use the instrument, and she translated it into German, and then she did a study, and she came to spend a few months in Sydney, where we together worked out the approach to data analysis, and she started to write she wrote her thesis and started to draft a paper. And then not long after that, I had an inquiry from another group from Heidelberg University Hospital. They wanted to use the instrument as well, but because Anna had already implemented a study, we decided, and we'd learned there were some issues with the cultural appropriateness, we decided to go back and take a very a qualitative approach and try to unpack the cultural appropriateness of the instrument and then adapt it to make it more suitable to a German population. And then that was subsequently, yeah. Sorry. And then a Belgian group has also taken the instrument and translated it into Flemish. Okay, the final thing I wanted to talk about was the final sabbatical that I wanted to talk about was my visit to the EPICORE Centre in Alberta, Canada. This was with Professor Ross Tsuki, who you can see here in the middle of this photograph. This centre has two arms. One is a research project management arm where they provide services to other research groups in helping them to set up their studies, but they also focus on community-based research for community pharmacy. And that was what I was interested in, because a lot of that work that Ross was doing resonated very strongly with what my research experience in Sydney. So I was very interested to learn from him how they went about it and etc. Also at the time, I think Hanny was completing her PhD and was able to, we were able to organise a visit with Ross for Hanny. So one of the points, of course, that I haven't talked about yet is that you really need to, if you want to develop these collaborations, you need the opportunity to meet and to actually have funds to support the implementation of a project. So identifying sources of funding is key. And when I was visiting Ross in Canada, we learned that both of our universities were members of this grouping called World Universities Network, and they had a pool of funds available to researchers to apply for, and which could then be utilised to pay for meetings and opportunities to actually spend time together. We used some of this. We wrote at least I wrote an application at the time. It was submitted and it was successfully in obtaining funding. And the idea was to foster an international collaboration to engage pharmacists to contribute to primary health care. And we used some of this money to enable Hanny to visit, spend a bit of time with Ross. But one of our thoughts was that we should focus on a particular area, a health issue, and the one that we settled on was uncontrolled hypertension. And we also wanted to work in one of the developing countries where resources are not so readily available. And because Hanny was with me, we decided that perhaps we could do this in Indonesia. And so we used some money to set up a meeting. Some of you may remember back in 2016, there was a meeting, pharmacists continuing education event around hypertension and its management. The three of us, there's myself, Ross, and Professor Norm Campbell, who was then the ex-president of the International Hypertension Society. We came to Surabaya and we spent some of that time writing a project grant application, which Hanny submitted subsequently. Unfortunately, I think at the time it wasn't successful. I think what happened was that Hanny became very busy with other things, and she just couldn't resubmit it. I'm not really sure, but the point about these grant applications is that if the moral of that is that if you don't succeed the first time, you have to keep trying. There's many applications that I have not succeeded in, and then you just have to say, well, I'm going to try it again, because it's intensely competitive, and you can refine the story and hopefully eventually can be successful. So I think there's still a lot of opportunity for that project that we started to work on together at that time. And finally, I've worked with, this is another example of a connection that I made through attending a conference. I was at a diabetes conference in Australia. This gentleman here, Dr. Hamza Al-Zubaidi. He was a PhD student at the time, and we met, and his PhD concerned control of diabetes in an Arabic-speaking population in Australia, and so we established a connection. But sometime later, he really wanted, when he was commenced his work at the University of Sharjah, he wanted to apply for funding to set up a project in community pharmacy, and he approached me and said, would I be a co-investigator, as well as another colleague called Professor Kevin McNamara. And so we agreed, and the rest is history. He submitted the grant application, which was successful, and this produced several publications. At the time, he also really wanted me to come to his university and give a presentation, which I did in 2019. And we together wrote a grant application. He wanted to continue this work, and so there was an opportunity to get more money to support continuation of this line of research. While I was in Sharjah, I helped him with a grant application. And this actually turned out to be successful as well. And so this particular project is still underway. It's ongoing. So what I hope I've done over this short period of time is give you a flavour of some of the strategies that can actually help build international collaborations in research. And I guess I understand that every area, every country has its own I guess conditions that either that they have to consider. But I think that it's certainly worth developing a strategy where at least somebody, one person who's very interested in research, is given the opportunity to attend conferences so that they can connect with people with whom collaborations can be fostered. So I'll stop there. Happy to answer any questions now, or I know there's a panel session later on. So I'll leave it at that, and I can stop sharing my I'm going to.
Okay, thank you very much, Professor Kras. I heard that you have another short schedule after this. I think you can join us again for the second half session for discussion.
Okay. Well, what time would you like me to join?
I think around 11 a.m. GMT 7.
Which will be 11 a.m. That's your time.
Yes, 11 here.
So my time, that would be, there's a 4-hour difference, is that right? So it'd be around 3 or 2? Around 2 o'clock.
Yeah, around 2, I think, in your time.
Okay, all right. So I'll disconnect now, and I'll come back in at around 2 o'clock.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Terrific.
Thank
Okay.
you very
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank
okay.
you.
Bye.
See you later, Professor. Okay, next for our second speaker is Dr. Iman Harimawan. Dr. Iman Harimawan will give a presentation about strategy to build partnerships of Universitas Airlangga. Here is the brief introduction of Dr. Harimawan. He is now the Director of Airlangga Global Engagement in Universitas Airlangga, Indonesia, and the Editor-in-Chief in Asian Journal of Accounting Research. Dr. Harimawan has expertise of accountancy and has obtained his doctoral degree in City University of Hong Kong with numerous publications in top-tier journals. Good morning, Dr. Harimawan. Sorry, we can't hear you.
Yeah, thank you. Good morning.
Morning.
Yeah.
Okay, Dr. Harimawan, you have 20 minutes for the presentation. Please, the screen is yours.
Okay, thank you. Good morning, everyone. thank you for inviting me for this event. And let me share my screen first. So, okay. Okay. Is it visible in your side, my screen?
Yes, Doctor.
Okay. Okay, thank you. First of all, I would like to thank for the Dean of Faculty of Pharmacy, Professor Junaidi Hotip, and also the faculty from Faculty of Pharmacy, Universitas Airlangga, and also the honorable speakers, Professor Kras and other speaker, and also the participant, ladies and gentlemen. Very good morning, everyone. It's my honor to become the second speaker for this events today. I'm going to deliver the speech related to the strategy to build partnership of Universitas Airlangga. Yeah, as have mentioned by Professor Pras previously, that there are many opportunities that we can collaborate through research with international university, with overseas universities. So basically, given the uncertain situation, not only in Indonesia but also all over the world, I think it's really uh, really good if we can maintain the cooperation and also the competitiveness. So competition, it's really good, but we need to treat as maybe let me put this way, competition is good, but we need to maintain the level of competition, because if we uh, pay more attention in competition, it will drain our energy. And the collaboration in another side, it will create an interdependency, but in another side will ruin our autonomy. So it's really good if we can maintain the balance between the cooperation and also competition. And this is our focus at Universitas Airlangga. We have four things that become our OKR, objective and key results. The first one is the international university branding. And the second one is academic international visibility. This academic is not only for the students, but also for the staff. And the third one is international research visibility, to increase the collaboration, the innovations, and also the cooperation between universities around the world. And the last one is, in order to improve the decision-making process, we need to improve the data that we have and convert it as the information for better decision-making for the future. Yeah. Let me move this one. Okay. Yeah, for the international branding, for international university branding, we do have several activities, such as join for the international consortium. At the moment, we join about 23 international consortium, ranging from health focus on engineering and also social science, and also based on the regional base. And the second one is we participate in the international exhibitions, and then we do like international agreement. It covers for the academics agreement and also the research agreement, and also the industry as well, collaboration between university to industry as well. And we engage with Indonesia embassies overseas, because we think that this is one of the best way for us to enter the country and to have a better understanding about what is the situation and also the culture for the specific countries. And we also establishing Erlangga Hubs. This year we plan to establish Erlangga Hub in Middle East country. And last one is digital engagement with the stakeholders. Not only internal, but also we try to help them to have engagement, but with the colleagues overseas. And then we also do inbound and outbound student mobility for point number two, to increase the visibility for the international academics and students and also the faculty. And we do student empowerment. So we believe that our student council is one of our energy to increase the international networking. So we work closely with the student council in the university level and also faculty level, and even also with the department level to work with them to create international activities and also to engage with international students. And also we have like international student activities from the faculty level and also from the student council level. And for incorporating point one and two, this is some of the examples that we have. We have Luminaire. Luminaire is we work with one of the consortium. It's A2Net consortium. We engage with local NGO, not only with the another universities. So, but we engage with the NGO that also focus in specific themes. And also we have some other activities such as TechSeed. TechSeed is working related with the technological innovation and social entrepreneurship for economic development. We work with University Technology Malaysia and other university as well. And this is the things that I think it's uh, fit with the theme that we are discussing today related to this conference. So for the international research feasibility. So basically, there are two main activities that we have here. The first one, we provide international funding for collaborations. We provide fund for international collaborations, and also we encourage our faculty to apply for the international funding. Why we encourage them to apply for the international funding, but at least there are two benefits. The first one, to engage with more international scholars, because usually international funding they require for collaboration between universities. And the second one is to have a better experience on how the international funding uh, uh, international institutions working with with the researchers. And the second one for is inbound staff mobility. So we open for collaboration with overseas scholars. For example, we have invited scholars from Oxford University, London School of Economics, some universities. I think many universities in Australia, including the University of Sydney, and also universities in Japan and other universities. So we have several types of activities for inbound staff mobility. They can give a lecture, like research lecture, for example, like presenting their ongoing papers or working papers, and also it's also possible for them to present new published paper that published in high quality journals. Yeah, this is the detail of the research collaboration opportunities. So we do have five different schemes. The first one is mandate research grant. It's approximately 15,500 US dollars. And also we do have several schemes for international research collaboration ranging from 9,300 US dollar until 3,100 US dollar. Yeah. And if you are interested to work with us at Universitas Airlangga, you are very welcome to visit our website, scholar.uner.ac.id. You can find our scholars portfolio and also our research interest and what are the funding that they already receive, yeah, the grants and all of relate. I think uh, most of information related to research activities are available there. So we encourage you to visit our website for further details. Yeah, and this is some other activities for the uh, uh, engagement for with the faculty. Yeah, we do have Erlangga postdoctoral programs. In this year, we have like 70 positions for Erlangga postdoctoral programs. Until May, nearly end of May, we already accept and processing about 24 applications. Yeah, 18 of them are already working with our faculty. So if you have any students that are or just graduated within 5 years, you are more than welcome to recommend them to work with us under our Erlangga postdoctoral programs. Currently, I'm visiting Perth. I'm uh, I'm I visit Curtin University and also tomorrow I'm going to Edith Point University. I met with some students here, PhD students, and some of them are also interested to apply for the postdoctoral program with our scholars in Indonesia. So you are more than welcome to encourage your students as well. So another thing is we also have academic lecture at Universitas Erlangga. As I have mentioned, we have invited scholars from many universities, UWA, Western Australia, and other universities. And we do have a young professor of visiting fellow positions. So we are very honored to work with the top scholars from all over the world. If we have uh, the same interest with some of our scholars, I'm more than happy to facilitate you to be connected with our scholars at Erlangga. So we do have several types of visiting fellow. If you are interested to in teaching, we do have scheme for teaching purpose. If you are interested in research, we have specific scheme for research. Yeah. This is some of the mobility program, a research lecture, academic lecture, postdoctoral program, and visiting fellow. Here are the details. Yeah, I think I can leave the slides to the conference committee, and then will be distributed to all of the participants later. Yeah. Lastly, we also engage with the professional, yeah, and industry. So this is one of the important things because if you refer to triple helix model, so we need to working closely among academics, professional, and also regulators. So we need to work with well in order to increase the impact of our research and also teaching. So we have several high-profile products from the research and business side. The first one is merah putih vaccine, and we also developed the COVID-19 cure. We also have some community services like the floating hospital as well. Yeah, we do have a teaching industry on shift hard capsule cell, and we are always developing this one, and we work with not only with the regulators but also with the industry to deliver this product to the market. The last one, this is the in order to um, as mentioned by the moderator, I'm working closely with the accounting department because I'm assistant professor at the accounting department. So one of the purpose of accountant is that providing information for better decision making. So better decision making, it means not only for internal but also for the external parties. So all stakeholders will be benefit if the decision is better. So therefore, we try to develop the international dashboard to help us working closely and have a more impactful activities with our partners. Yeah, this is our contact, so you are more than welcome to reach us anytime and discuss about the possible future collaboration with Universitas Erlangga. Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you very much, Dr. Harimawan, for the interesting summaries of programs and strategies carried out by Universitas Erlangga to meet the needs of global partnership. Now, Doctor, we will have the first discussion session for 20 minutes. Participants can drop the question for Dr. Harimawan in the chat box. And there are already some questions. Let me read one. Okay, this is the question from one of the participants. How does Airlangga University start and maintain collaboration with partners abroad during the pandemic?
Okay, thank you, Dr. Holly. Very good questions. Yeah. So basically, we face we face a problem on when we had the COVID-19. Yeah, everyone knows that the mobility will it's very become very limited, but at the same time we do have another alternative to get connected with other person, and somehow we feel that the border is getting thinner and thinner because we using the virtual meeting we can have a more intensive collaboration and more intensive discussion with someone overseas. Yeah, previously maybe we use Skype or other things, but it's seldom. We prefer to visit in person. Yeah. However, if you look at the trend of the publication as well, it's not decreasing, but it's increasing. It means that even though we had a problem for COVID-19, but the productivity still increased. So I think one thing that we maintain with them is that we create more activities, more virtual activities with them. As during my presentation, I've mentioned about research lecture and also academic lecture. These things are few activities that can be one of the way to maintain the engagement with our partner. Yeah, and the second thing is that we need to encourage our faculty to have more intensive communication with them. That's why we have what we call academic peer list engagement plan. So every year we ask the faculty to provide the list of the international faculties that will be engaged with their faculty. So we are trying to provide advanced planning for the faculty to engage with faculties. It's not only with using the academic lecture, but also using the research scheme programs and also the adjunct professor. Yeah, by using the engagement plan, we are trying to maintain our academic culture and also research culture uh, live, yeah, during the pandemic. But the interesting thing is that even though there is a shifting of the way how we collaborate with others, again, the productivity still increase. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Hermawan. Still about that thing, we seems to start going to the post-pandemic era. What notes or comments can you give about the situation? How much it will change the strategies already undergoing right now in the Universitas Airlangga? What do you think, Doctor?
Yeah. Thank you. Another good questions. Yeah. I learned economics, so somewhere sometime we will find the equilibrium. Yeah. So when we face the pandemic at the beginning or early 2020, everyone is a worry about COVID-19. Yeah, but suddenly we know how to live together with COVID-19, how to treat it, how to do our activities with when COVID-19 is still there. Yeah, and now we are transition in the transition period for the endemic, and I think we are. I believe that the virtual activities will be decrease, but not significantly decrease. Yeah, in 1 or 2 next years. Yeah, but still the mobility will increase. Yeah. However, I found that when I talk and discuss with the director for international office for other universities, they are still uh, trying to figure out how to improve the quality of the virtual engagement. Yeah, somehow virtual engagement give us more flexible time and also more productivity for the certain matters. But In the other side, virtual engagement or virtual activities is less. It's different, still different with the on-site collaborations. Yeah, that's why, as I said before, we are trying to find the equilibrium at the moment. But I think some of us are. Uh, I mean, from my side as the director of Erlangga Global Engagement, I encourage for all faculty at Universitas Erlangga to start the physical mobility for the research, because there are a lot of things that we can get not aside from the virtual meetings. Thank you, Dr. Holish.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Harimawan. There's another questions from the participant. It is from Mr. Andi. He asks, I believe you are familiar with the issue of inferiority prior setting up for collaboration. How would you see it might affect collaboration between third world institutions with the counterpart from developed countries? And the second question is about cultural and administrative difference among partners may occur. How do you resolve it to make a seamless interaction?
Okay. Yeah. Let me get into the first questions. Yeah. I've just discussed this thing. Thank you, Pandi, for bringing up these questions. Yeah. Um, uh, that's I think that's a problem for many, not only from Indonesian, but some and many other countries as well. The thing is that we have to believe that um, when we collaborate with someone, each partner has the what's that the advantage, advantage, and also they have the uh, they can contribute each other. So that's the principle that we need to think. So I understand correctly, when someone is feel like inferior before prior to setting up the collaboration with other parties, it's more likely that they don't know what is the what is that the ability that they can collaborate with others. Yeah. So last night I have a meeting with Professor Bradley Taylor from the Curtin University. We talk about the possibility to work on NCP grant, New Colombo Pen. If you are familiar with Australian University, there is a scheme for New Colombo Pen to mobility activities, yeah, to encourage mobility activities for Australian students to go overseas. Yeah, we've discussed about many things, and at the time we can provide many opportunities for them. Yeah, for example, like Indonesian government now, they provide a lot of research grant. If you aware with the matching fund, the research grant is very big. Yeah, that's one thing that you can try to offer to collaborate with other partners. So if you know what things that you can offer to others, I think you know how to deal with them. The second thing is that negotiation is also what is that? The ability that everyone need to learn. Yeah. So we need to learn how to negotiate with others. We need to learn how to deal with others. Yeah. Sometimes we need to know to understand others first. Yeah. So I think that ability we need to improve. Everyone need to improve that ability in order to create a sustainable collaboration. And lastly, once we have the collaborators, we need to be to think about this to have a sustainable collaborations, not only one-time collaborations. Because if we aim to have only one-time collaboration, we won't prepare the activities for the future. So if you think in the long term, I believe that there are a lot more possibilities that we can collaborate with others. For the second one, cultural and administrative difference among partners may occur. How do you resolve? Yeah, I have a principle. If we have the same goal, administrative will come later. Yeah, so if we have the same goals, if we have the same effort, administrative is only the things that we can talk or discuss later. Everyone will fight for it. Yeah, but if we don't have any, I mean, the same goals, and we still do not confidence about the objectives that we want to achieve with our partners. Sometimes the administrative process makes us, it will burden us, yeah, or to further, to process further for the collaboration. So yeah, uh, that's the art of collaborations, Andi. Yeah, administrative difference. Yeah, not only administrative. Yeah, as you said, yeah, you are correct. Cultural difference as well. Yeah, but yeah, we have to face that one. Yeah, we can look at some many global companies. They have a very open culture and very open in terms of the collaboration. So if we have that type of cultures, I think we can solve any problem, especially for the administrative one, because administrative process is our internal process, right? So, yeah, we can discuss and we can solve that one, I believe. And the last one, the third one, if I check on the chat,
Yeah,
the
yeah. The next big
questions, yeah.
tactic for collaboration.
Yeah, what is the next target or collaboration, particularly for UNED? Yeah, we aim, after 2 years, I work closely with Erlangga Global Engagement. I found that we have a big shifting for our partners. We are not only dealing with the partners that uh, uh, previously working with us, but we also expand to collaborate with new partners. That's the thing that we need to always having in our mind. We always need to expand our collaboration in order to find the new opportunities. Yeah, the good thing is that I can say maybe roughly about 40% of our collaborators is new comers. Yeah, from new university, new names. So I can see that we have a more diverse collaboration at the moment. Yeah. What is the next target? The next target is to reshaping the collaboration into impactful activities. Yeah, we have a lot of activities. We have a lot of MOU, MOA, implementation agreement, but we need to become more focused on particular things. Yeah, what we want to achieve, and especially if you follow the guideline on the government and the Ministry of Education, we need to focus to increase the impact and collaboration with the industries. Yeah, that's the things that we want to focus for the next year, for the next coming year. So um, uh, uh, in early June, I'm going to visit Silicon Valley. So we are going to have appointment with some companies over there. So we work with Indonesian Embassy in San Francisco and also we work with our alumni. The good thing is that we have alumni at Langga in the US and some of them working in global companies like Apple and some other big companies. They are willing to help us. So engagement with industry is one of our focus. Thank you, Bandi.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Harimawan. I have my personal questions for
Yeah.
now. Uh, do Universitas Airlangga open up for any new collaboration from, new institution that never have been make collaboration with the Universitas Airlangga priorly?
Yeah, we open with anyone. Yeah, any university. Yeah, if you look at the why we decide to do that one, because we are not only, uh, by working or collaborating with top university, maybe we can learn something more about what is happening, what is the recent technology, recent approaches, and other things. Yeah, but by working closely with other universities, such as maybe within top 500 or even maybe over 500, yeah, we can work with them and we can contribute more. That's why we continue with Merah Putih Vaksin. Yeah, we believe that we can contribute and share our impact to others in many other countries that are facing a problem on getting the vaccination. Yeah.
What about the university outside of top 100, the outside of the target of University of Airlangga? They
Yeah.
can how they can do approach to the collaboration with the Universitas Airlangga?
Yeah. This is the way how we think about collaboration, Ibu. So we need to learn something from someone have this have a partner that have more insight, more knowledge, or more technology from us. But we also need to share what we have to others that they also need our support. Yeah, this is the way how because if we refer to sustainable development goals number 17, we need to work with everyone. We need to work. We need to help each other, and we need to strengthen our partnership in order to make this world better. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Doctor. There's still another questions. This is about the internal student. How does Airlangga University attract students from abroad?
Yeah, very good questions, and this is very difficult to answer actually, and very difficult to implement. Yeah, so we need to understand that we are not yet have an international environment. Yeah, I mean for the study. Yeah, we have accept some students from overseas, but if you look at the readiness of the Universitas Airlangga for some faculties, they still need to be improved in order to be able to provide international culture for the students. Yeah. So that's the main homework that we need to address together, that we need to solve together. Yeah, selling programs is not that a problem because we have a lot of marketing experts and we can work with them, any consultant. Yeah, but improving the quality of our product is the main concerns. How do we deal with that at the moment? Yeah, we shifting the long-term programs into short-term programs. So we are still focusing on the the short-term programs like summer course, summer programs, and at Erlangga Global Engagement now I got approval from the Vice Chancellor to have one new what is that coordinator responsible for attracting international fund for academic mobility. So we are trying to find a potential partner overseas that can provide the fund as well for our students to go overseas and also for bring their students coming to Indonesia. Yeah. So still we focus on the short-term program at the moment while we are also trying to support the faculty and also department to increase their ability to create an international academic culture for the students.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Harimawan. That's the last question for the discussion session. Thank you very much for the enlightening answers. Hopefully you can stay with us until the very end of this webinar.
Thank you very much, everyone.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, for the second session, we have other two speakers. First is Dr. Alemayehu Mekonnen. His topic of strengthening international partnership in supporting the achievement of the SDGs. Dr. Mekonnen is part of Alfred Deakin Postdoctoral Research Fellow in Deakin University, Australia, with an expertise in pharmacy practice. He has published numerous top articles in his field, and here are the latest ones. Good morning, Dr. Mekonnen.
Good morning, guys. Good afternoon for Australian speakers, actually. Yeah, so can I share you my slides, please?
Yes, you have 20 minutes, Doctor, to present your topic.
Okay, good, thank you.
Yeah, the time is yours.
Thank you so much.
Excuse me, doctor, can you turn on your camera? We
It's
cannot
off,
see. Yeah, we cannot see your face here.
but I can see here it's on. I am not sure,
Oh,
maybe
okay, okay.
uh, because I'm using Beacon-owned computers, so I don't know. It shows that it's on actually, but yeah, let's check anyways. Oh my gosh. Still the same thing. I don't know.
Okay, it's okay, doctor. You can just continue your presentation.
But can you see the slides or not?
Yes, we can see. It's just not in slideshow form version. May you can slideshow it first?
What about now?
Yeah.
Is the slides visible or not?
Yes, it is now in the slideshow version.
Oh my gosh. So everything is black?
No, we can see the slide.
You can't see the slides, but
yes.
you can't see me. Are the slides visible to you? I'm not sure, just to confirm.
Yes, we can see the slide. Please continue.
Okay. That's interesting. Okay. Thank you for the opportunity, and it's really a great honor to present with Ines and other presenters on strengthening international partnerships in supporting the achievement of Sustainable Development Goals. Yeah, my name is Adamayo, nicknamed as Alex actually, and I'm currently a postdoctoral research fellow at Deakin University. So I'm so sorry, the slides are not moving. Okay, so my outline of presentation looks like this one. I will try to elaborate a little bit about me, who I am, from where, and the likes, and a little bit definition about Sustainable Development Goals and the origin of Sustainable Development Goals, and a little bit elaboration about the differences between Sustainable Development Goals and Millennial Development Goals. And yeah, the focus of this webinar is actually partnership for the goals. So I will try to elaborate more on the partnerships for the Sustainable Development Goals with my PhD project as a case. And finally, I will conclude my presentation with the do's and don'ts in creating and maintaining some partnerships. So to begin with, about me, just yeah, I'm originally from Ethiopia, just that's on the eastern side of Africa. So I did my undergraduate study at the University of Gondar in southern Serbia, and my master's in clinical pharmacy in another university in the same country in 2011. And I was the first graduated clinical pharmacist in the country, actually. So, you know, that the clinical pharmacy program was launched in 2009 between the collaboration between Howard University from America with Ethiopian Jimma University. So that specialization gave me, you know, an important lesson in that pharmacists can able to have an extended role beyond dispensing. So yeah, because of that program, you know, we try to launch a new clinical pharmacy department at the university where I came from, that's the University of Gondar. So I was the first chair of clinical pharmacy at that time. That's in 2012. So yeah, at the age of 26, I was head of a department. So because at that time we don't have that much enough staff, so we try to have some links with Indian universities, who at that time do have a better success in terms of clinical pharmacy development. So we try to recruit pharmacists from India. So these were my colleagues at that time. That's the one we recruited during that time. So I did my PhD at the University of Sydney. So I moved to Australia in 2014 just to do my PhD. Completed my PhD in 2018, then having some casual tutor and research positions because immediately after completing my PhD, actually I've been engaged with some parental responsibilities because we did get our first boy at that time. So I'm a father of two actually. So yeah. This is Professor Andrew. He's the Dean of the School of Pharmacy at this moment, and he was my second supervisor, actually. So my research interest is more or less medication safety, that's in general, or quality use of medicines is usually the term Australian researchers are using, health services and evidence-based healthcare. So I hope you may have been briefed with this, with what the Sustainable Development Goals so far. I hope so. So these are to-do lists for the planet to transform the world. This is a definition, given a simple definition, but very clear one, given by Ban Ki-moon, Secretary General of the United Nations at that time in 2015. So yeah, these Sustainable Development Goals are universal set of goals important to transform the world from poverty, hunger, and blah blah. So we do have 17 goals. So out of the 17 goals, the 17th one is partnership for the goals, which is the aim of this webinar. So I guess this is very important one because it's very important for every goal to be achieved. We need partnership. So it's really an important topic, I guess, from the perspective of achieving the remaining sustainable development goals. So the inception, prior to sustainable development goals, there was millennial development goals, which were adopted in 2000 and run over for 50 years. So there was a 3-year-long transparent and participatory process to come upon with these sustainable development goals, because the millennial development goals are limited in scope and they involved in they were only implemented in developing countries, and that was not much exhaustive lists. So a new development agenda that incorporates social inclusion, economic growth, and environmental sustainability that drafts people out of poverty worldwide. It's not only in developing countries, because poverty is not only a developing country issue, but in some other countries, in developed countries out there's some poverty. That's also because also it's a relative one. The sustainable development goals are people-centered, planet-sensitive, so they're universal. As the term implies, just they're universal. So the difference between sustainable development goals and millennium development goals, as I said, these are very exhaustive lists, incorporating 169 targets. So the scope is very broad, and although the origin or the foundation is the millennium development goals, they involve a number of goals to achieve or to draft the world population out of poverty, and they're universal and apply to all countries. So there are some new features with the sustainable development goals, including poverty eradication and climate change, just action on climate change. So the elements that underpin the Sustainable Development Goals are the 4 Ps. Yeah, people, prosperity, peace, planet, and partnership. So partnership is one of the frameworks to lead to sustainable development goals. So that's the focus of the way. Partnership for the goals, as I said, strengthen the means of implementation and revitalize the global partnership for sustainable development goal is the core and the path of achieving sustainable development goals. Yeah, that's what I said. So partnership for the goals, as it is, cooperation with other nations on global stage is imperative. I think the COVID case have shown this one. Collaboration with other nations is very important to eradicate poverty, disease, whatever. So because the world is small, just actually small in quotation. uh, so yeah. There are different forms of partnerships. There are large-scale partnerships. For example, you can take the Paris Agreement on Climate Change, which involves a number of nations around the world. Medium-scale partnership, for example, partnership between two governments, Australia and Indonesia, for example, to tackle something. For example, you can take poverty or something on water or sanitation or something like that. The other forms of partnership may be small scale, just person to person, team to team, or institution to institution. So different forms of partnerships can exist. So I will take to you to my PhD case as a partner as one case as a partnership project. That's a medication safety initiative. My PhD project was a medication reconciliation initiative as a medication safety initiative. So as I said, my background is I'm a clinical pharmacist. I trained as a clinical pharmacist. I know what pharmacists are doing in my country. I know what clinical pharmacists are doing in the developed countries. So at that time, just because clinical pharmacy services in the developed countries fascinates me a lot. So I was trying to have some conversation with my primary supervisor regarding what project I can implement in my home country. So I started with a simple email conversation, just saying that I'm a department head working here, and I have some plans to do some projects in back home, my country. So is there any way to collaborate together so that I can implement some new clinical pharmacy service like that? So just I started with some simple conversations. So so that's in 2013. So in 2014, I got the University of Sydney's international scholarship. I was successful in that. So I moved in 2014 for my PhD. Then I did 4 months of attachment at St. Vincent's Hospital. That's one of the best hospitals in Sydney. So in that hospital, I just learned a number of new pharmacy roles, like, for example, pharmacists doing somewhat roles, some kind of medication reconciliation services. So that's why I try to do the same thing for my home country. My project at the first instance was different from after my attachment. So that gives me a number of lessons. My attachment gave me a number of lessons. So I was trying to organize some team from Australia and Ethiopia to implement medication reconciliation in the Ethiopian setup. So I involved a number of hospitals. That's around 11 Ethiopian public hospitals. So this medication safety initiative includes implementation work, and I tested whether medication reconciliation practice works for resource limited setting or not. I was trying to test it. So it was found that pharmacists were able to reduce unintentional medication discrepancies through medication reconciliation by 75%. So it was found that it was successful. So this partnership brings a number of benefits. just I started with a simple email conversation, but partnership builds another partnership, so it brings a number of things. For example, invitation for big roles. With this PhD research, I was trying to then around 8 publications. So with these 8 publications, somebody from WHO contacted me to be involved as a medication safety expert for the patient safety initiative, Medication Without Harm. So that's a great thing, because that's before my PhD was completed. So it's really a great honor to be involved in that expert meeting. Research impact. Yes. This partnership brings also, for example, in terms of knowledge translation. With these 8 PhD publications, they have been cited more than 800 times so far. So this shows that there's some degree of impact, at least in terms of knowledge. Successful career progression. Yes, I'm currently a postdoctoral fellowship. So based on the PhD works, this also brings me to another career progression. So this is what the partnership brings. Partnership do's and don'ts. I believe that just if there is a common goal, I think it's good to ask for any partnership if you believe that you have a common vision and mission with the people or with the partner you are looking for. But one thing that should be clear is that the request should be very clear, concise, and sometimes when we ask people for partnership, we make it vague. We try to elaborate a number of things, but finally, it's very difficult to catch up what your intention, what your motive, and what you are intended to say. So it should be very clear, and it's also good to delineate what roles the party to contribute in the partnership. Division of labor is important. Usually, when we try to ask for partnership, that means that there's something another partner will contribute. So you should delineate those roles, what the other partner should contribute. Do your assignment first. Yes. This is also a problem usually, because without having enough expertise, for example, or without having some experience or having some publications, for example, for PhD students, or without having some prior experience, creating some partnership may be difficult. So I think some foundational work should be done before contacting people or some partners for some collaboration. So prior work should be done. Communicate openly. Yes, this is very important. Honesty and open communication is also very important. We don't need to write or converse things around. We don't need to be the bush around. We should be very frank. Should be direct and straightforward. We don't need to be very closed. If the goals are different, actually, we don't need to communicate to any partner if we have different goals. If, for example, the team is working on diabetes mellitus and you are working on something different, maybe on some infectious disease, unless there's some kind of commonality between the two teams, I think you don't need to communicate for such partnerships or some or collaboration. Lack of honesty, yes, I have said, honesty is very important. So yes, politeness is the poison of collaboration. I know, because sometimes in some societies, politeness may be taken as a good way for, or even in some societies, it's taken as some societal value. I know politeness is very good, but in terms of collaboration, I think we should be very clear and we should be very frank rather than to make things to one side or to leave things for one side. Lack of trust. Don't decide on the fate or path of your partnership or collaboration alone. Because it's all about mutual work. So yes, it should be an agreed upon decision for the partnership or the the collaboration to be continued. Inability to work across differences. Yes, whenever we create some collaboration, there are differences. Yeah? Is it? Yeah. So there are some differences and there are some synergies. Although we are saying that there are some goals, but how to achieve those goals may be different. We do have some different approach to achieve those goals. So we should appreciate those differences and we should optimize those differences. For students looking for PhD specifically, don't contact people from the same team at the same time. Yeah, try to avoid conflict of interest. Usually this happens because I encounter a number of students of such type. So don't contact people from the same team at the same time. Don't accept two different letters of acceptance at the same time. Yeah, it's a violation here in Australia. And the best thing I love about Australia is that the research environment is very open. Before moving to Australia, I have tried to contact a number of professors across the world, in Europe, in America, Canada. But the most thing I love about here is that it's very open. So you can contact easily people from different institutions. But when it comes to Europe or Canada, you should have some established networks or some established partnerships, something like that. So I think Australia is the best place to form some partnerships directly with professors, with the research teams. Thank you so much. If you have any questions, you are welcome.
Thank you so much for your insight regarding the matter, Dr. Mekonnen.
Thank you.
Please stay with us for the discussion session after the fourth presentation.
Okay.
Beforehand, a reminder for all participants, you can drop your question in the chat box with the format your name, _ask, _ the speaker's name, _ the question. Now for the next speaker will be Professor Fumitaka Fujita with his presentation entitled Strategy to Build Partnerships of University of Osaka. Professor Fujita is currently a lecturer and researcher in the Graduate School of Pharmaceutical Sciences, Osaka University, Japan. His expertise is in cosmetics, and he has published numerous top articles regarding the expertise field. Good morning, Professor Fujita.
Good morning, everyone.
Okay.
Thank you for this opportunity. I appreciate to talk about our activity in this webinar.
Okay.
Can I start?
Yes, you have 20 minutes, Professor, to present your topic.
Okay, I got it.
The time is yours.
Yes. Can you see my presentation file?
Yes, we can see your slide.
Okay, let's start. Hi, my name is Fumitaka Fujita. I'm guest professor of Osaka University. Today, I would like to talk about the activities including international collaboration in one of joint research Laboratory of Advanced Cosmetic Science. This laboratory was established with Mandam Corporation, cosmetic developer in Asia, in 2015. Today, I would like to introduce our activity based on the philosophy bent to consumers. This means from basic research to cosmetic products as soon as possible. Okay. This is summary of my talk. Firstly, I will briefly talk about our laboratory. Second, I would like to introduce previous international joint study in Mandam Corporation. In the third part, I will introduce recent research topics in Advanced Cosmetic Science Laboratory. If I have time to share another information, I will talk about the Nishimura Foundation for Researchers. Okay, I would like to introduce Advanced Cosmetic Science Laboratory briefly. These are our laboratory pictures. We have just moved in this year to new building. Please look at this picture. he's Dr. Tatul from ITB in 2016. And this is our picture in graduation day of last year. He's Dr. Defrey, our first graduate student of PhD course of international student from ITB in Indonesia. In our laboratory, there are not only academic staff, but also company researchers. We have also 9 graduate students, including 3 of master course students from China. In addition, we have a plan to invite 2 researchers from Gajah Mada University and your university, Airlangga University, from this June. As you can see, our members have a variety of background. Next, I'd like to show some example of international joint research in Mandam Corporation. I have just summarized Mandam Corporation. Mandam Corporation was located in Osaka, Japan, and established in 1927. This is head office with other buildings. As shown here, we have several groups, companies in many Asian countries. In Indonesia, here, PT Mandam Indonesia, which was called previously PT Kancho Indonesia, was established about 15 years ago. Now, PT Mandam Indonesia is the biggest company among our group companies. In Japan, Mandam Corporation is the biggest developer in male cosmetics. Our strong point in hairstyling products such as hair gel, hair wax, hair tonic. Main brand is Gatsby, which is the biggest male cosmetic brand all over the world. In Asian countries, we have also strong cosmetics of women, cleansing water, foundation, makeup, and so on. Do you know Pixie and Pixel? Especially Pixie two-way cake foundation is a famous product in Indonesia. These are advertisements of our products in Indonesia. I hope you have already seen some of them. Gatsby and Pixie are main brand of us in Indonesia. Okay, first example is moisturizing effect of facial paper, a kind of wet wipe. Mandam Corporation have sold these products for male consumers. These products are usually used to clean, but we found using, please look at these data, using wet wipes have more moisturizing effect, not only in Japan, but also in Indonesia. This is the data from collaborative study with one of the Indonesian university. Next, I would like to show the finding the novel ingredient for anti-wrinkle cosmetics. In Japan, Mandam Corporation found CSP extract have repairing effect for the DNA damage. So we tried to evaluate anti-wrinkle effect of this ingredient with one of the university in Indonesia. From this evaluation, we found CSP extract, please look at this graph, had the effect on wrinkle reduction significantly. Okay, this is the last example. In Mandam, we classified human odor as shown here. Based on this classification, we evaluated Japanese and Indonesian odor of male. Please look at these graphs. There are big differences in odor between Indonesian and Japanese. In Indonesian male, majority is cumin-like odor, type C. But majority of Japanese male is milk-like odor, type M, which is a very weak smell. Okay, next, I would like to introduce recent several topics in our laboratory based on the principle bench to consumer. We mainly focused on advanced medical technology such as regenerative medicine. The technology of regenerative medicine should be applied to skin regeneration and regulation for physiological function of cells, resulting development of cosmetics. We believe that the novel knowledge about stem cell or iPS cells must lead to revolutionary cosmetics. This is our strategy for development of revolutionary cosmetics. We utilize human isolated skin by surgical operation for analysis of protein and gene expression or isolation of stem cell for analysis of cell differentiation using FACS or confocal microscopy without animals. Firstly, I would like to talk about the receptors for temperature and chemicals. These receptors have the important function of sensors against wide stimulus, including temperature and so on. They are called transient receptor potential channels. We call TRP channels. In humans, there are 10 of TRP channels which are activated by different temperatures. Interestingly, many pungent chemicals like these also activate several TRP channels. As you may know, the Nobel Prize in Physiology or Medicine 2021 was given to researchers of TRP channels, Dr. David Julius and Dr. Arden Pataposhan. For a long time, we focused on TRPA1 because of its important function in sensory irritation on skin surface. Recently, we also focused on TRPM4, which is activated by warm temperatures. Here, I would like to introduce two examples of bench-to consumers. First one is inhibitory ingredient of TRPA1. We found 1,8-cineol clearly inhibited TRPA1 activity caused by menthol. And this inhibitory effect of 1,8-cineol also was shown in human sensory tests. Recently, we found another inhibitor, albanol, which has very slight smell. These inhibitors have been already formulated in cosmetics with cooling sensation because they can block uncomfortable sensation by menthol. Next, second example is about TRPM4, which Dr. Saito found expression in keratinocytes. She also clarified that TRPM4 activation leads inhibit inflammation by using ALMK, a novel activator of TRPM4. Based on these findings, we launched new skincare series M4 as shown here. Next, I would like to show some topics in deodorant. We found sweat gland stem cells from human skin. Furthermore, we also clarified 3D structure of sweat gland as shown here. From this research, we want to develop novel deodorant. Next, I would like to show one exciting data. This is a movie of shrinking the human sweat gland. Please look, please watch this. Can you see the movement? This is the shrinking movement of human sweat gland by stimulation of acetylcholine. Until our findings, nobody knew sweat gland movement for sweat secretion. This is the first movie that we can recognize clear movement of sweat gland. Based on the finding of movement of sweat gland, we have the plan to develop the novel deodorant that deactivates sweat gland shrinking. And we had already found inhibitory ingredients. Now we are trying to formulate them. In addition, our theory for the novel deodorant attracts lots of attention of company researchers. From research of sweat gland, we established isolation method of sebaceous gland, as shown here. And then we found phytic acid was effective for reduction of seminal secretion by using isolated sebaceous gland. From these findings, Mandam Corporation could launch new skincare products, as shown here. Okay, next, I would like to explain very recent research in skin. We focus on one organella primaricia, as shown here, which has a role as antenna for cells. Dr. Toriyama found primaricia in immune cells, as shown here, and they functioned controlling the immune response of cells. Moreover, she found that the atopic dermatitis skin showed increase in serious cells in epidermis, as shown here. Furthermore, Dr. Defrey from ITB found several cytokines which are increased in atopic dermatitis and psoriasis, obviously increase primary here. In addition, loricrin and desmoglein-1 protein for skin barrier function showed the relationship with primary cilia. Now, we have hypotheses that inhibiting primary cilia leads anti-inflammation. In the future, we want to develop new anti-inflammation drug or cosmetics from these findings. From now, we utilize botanical extract for cosmetics because of its efficacy and safety. So we are very interested in Indonesian traditional medicine, jamu. We believe there are no effective ingredients in jamu. I hope collaborative study between your university and us lead novel products. In the future, we will realize best to consumer in Indonesia. In the last part, I would like to talk about the Nishimura Foundation for Researchers in Indonesia. The foundation is established in 1999 with the hope that Mr. Iko Nishimura, the former president of chairman of Mandam Corporation, would like to help other countries. From 2016, the graduate school, Osaka University, has been able to receive economic support from the foundation for programs to invite researchers from foreign universities in Asian countries. Until now, a total of 18 researchers have been invited to Osaka University and received the support. So in university, we have already 3 invited researchers. So I would like to introduce economic support as shown here. Living and staying expense support fee is 160,000 yen monthly. Research fee 100,000 yen monthly. Housing expenses is 90,000 yen monthly. And in addition, round air trip ticket between Indonesia and Japanese is support. These support are set for people who have an interest in Japan and its culture and are committed to making a contribution to strengthening the relationship between Indonesia and Japan. We are going to have online instruction around September. If you are interested in the foundation, please join it. I'm sorry, so my presentation suddenly stopped. Yeah, this is final slide, and this is final slide. We are looking forward to your contact. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Professor Fujita. It is an inspiring presentation. Please stay with us, Professor, because we will have the second discussion session with Professor Kras and Dr. Mekonnen also with you as well. Participant? Yeah, okay. Participants can address a question to our speakers in the chat box following with the following format. Your name, _asks, _speakers names, _ the question. And I will read some questions that have been submitted. First, I think I would like to address this question to Dr. Mekonnen. Do you still with us?
Yeah, I am here.
Okay. Doctor, there is a question. What do you think the biggest challenge on building partnership during the pandemic? And what notes that you can give about the situation right now?
Okay, yeah, the biggest challenge with the current climate is that just, yeah, usually, as you know, Australia was closed to a number of international students, but actually at this moment there is a rise in the number of arrivals from overseas. So yeah, so far, yeah, it has been really challenging to accept international students because of the fact that there's closure, border closure. But I think this will be, this problem, this challenge will be resolved as time goes on. So the other challenge is that because, it has been closed for 2 years so far, the number of applicants is now increasing so much. So the competitiveness as compared to previous years is higher than expected. So they are now accepting a very competitive students than before. I can see that, for example, before 10, 11 theology publications, if a student having 10 theology publications is easily accepted, but nowadays it's really challenging because of this competitiveness. So I believe that maybe working hard on producing good quality publications may be very important in the months or the years ahead, I believe.
And how much it's changed in our strategy to cope with the situation, especially in your university?
Sorry, I can't get you. Can you repeat the question, please?
Okay, regarding the challenge that you have mentioned, how it changed the strategy applied in your university regarding the building partnership with the global university?
Yeah. Okay, got you. Okay, so I think my belief is that, starting early conversation is important. I believe that because, sometimes creating partnership is not a one-time process. It takes longer process. Even, the way we converse, the way we communicate, it is not a one-time process. It may take a number of months, number of years even. For example, for the case of me, although I got my PhD in 2040, but the conversation starts from early in 2012. So it took me a longer process. So I believe that creating or having some conversation as early as possible is one way to develop ourselves in terms of thinking ahead. So because that gives you insight how to work with partners, how to work more quality works. So starting conversation as early as possible is very good.
All right, thank you, Dr. Mekonan. And I would like to know your opinion, Professor Fujita, regarding the biggest challenge that on building partnership in the University of Osaka and how it changed the strategy within your university.
How?
Yeah, about the biggest challenge that you face in your university during the pandemic on building the partnership.
In Japan, company researcher and academic researcher should collaborate to reach a big finding. So in cosmetic area, there is few previous case, but Madam Corporation think we should try to collaborate by establishment new laboratory in university. So we tried to establish 7 years ago, and now I think our trial proceed well because we have many good researchers, including not only company researchers but also academic researchers and other international collaborative researchers. So we focus. We think it is important for us to communicate with Indonesian university because Mandam Corporation think Indonesia is important country for us. So we have some collaborative study with Indonesian university, including your university. So I think these international collaboration which widely large achievement in cosmetic area. Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Professor. We have Professor Ines to join us again. I would like to address this question to Professor Kras. There is questions from Mr. Andi for Professor Kras. The first question is, did you do a sort of investigation or a screening to appraise your potential partners prior to developing collaboration? And what are the most important factors contributing to sustainable collaboration? Professor Kras? Still mute.
Okay. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, I wasn't allowed to. I had. Yes. Anyway. Yes. So sorry, I didn't catch the question because I was trying to unmute myself. Could you please repeat it?
All right. There's two questions from Mr. Andi. The first one is, do you do a sort of investigation or a screening to appraise your potential partners prior to developing a collaboration? And the second question is, what are the most important factors contributing to sustainable collaboration?
Okay. So in terms of screening, yeah, certainly I would look at their I'd look at their publications, and I would, I guess, yeah. I mean, most of my collaborators I've actually met in person, and I can, the screening that you do essentially is you get a sense of who they are and what they're interested in and what they might be able to contribute to a collaboration. So it's really at a personal level, it's kind of easier. But certainly, in addition to that, I would look at their CV, read their publications, and ask questions. So it's really worthwhile. Once you've identified someone who you're interested in working with, and you have a particular project in mind, you would engage in a discussion and ask questions, and you can determine from that conversation whether these people have something to offer you, or whether whether they're interested, etc. So I guess that's the approach that I would take or have taken in the past. And the second question is, what are the factors that that contribute to success? Well, I think it goes along the same lines. I mean, you have to have a rapport. And I guess that's easier to establish. That relationship is much easier to establish when you've met in person. Of course, nowadays we have access to tools such as Zoom. So that means that you don't necessarily have to travel to each other's countries to actually develop that relationship. So having lots of conversations. And I think having a common purpose, having a commitment, and I think it can only be successful if you make equal contributions. I mean, if one partner feels that they're doing all the work, then obviously that's not going to be very sustainable over time. However, sometimes if you want to work with a particular researcher or a particular group, in the first instance, it might be necessary to put more effort in. If you're, how could I describe it? If you're a junior partner, if you're less experienced and so on, if you want to work with someone, they might be quite interested, but they say, look, I don't have enough time. Then you might be, perhaps you should be prepared to put in more effort yourself, because their name obviously is going to help. It's going to help the likely success of any grant that you submit. Having said that, I mean, over time, obviously, that's not a sustainable arrangement, and it has to change over time. But in early days, if you're a early career researcher, certainly I know in Australia, a lot of early career researchers often put themselves as the second level. I mean, we have a system called the NHMRC where you have the primary investigator, A, and then you have other levels, B, C, etc. So often the person who writes the grant, if they're an early career researcher, will not necessarily place themselves first, because that, I guess, increases their chances of being funded. So just to summarise, I think the factors that's going to contribute to success is good rapport, building a relationship, having lots of conversations, having a clear vision about what it is you want to achieve together, and then making significant contributions, or that each party should contribute. Not necessarily equally, but you have to feel that there is a commitment to the collaboration. Does that answer your question, Andy?
Yes. Thank you, Professor Kras. I would like to know the opinion from Dr. Mekonnen regarding the same question. Do you do such a screening when you appraise your potential partner prior to the collaboration? Dr. Mekonnen?
He's muted, I think.
Yes, still in mute.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I don't know what's wrong with the mute function. Okay. Actually, my response is not different from what Ina said. Actually, whenever I was trying to look for a partner, I try to check whether we do have some common goals, some common research interests. That's the first thing. The first thing is always just to check that whether somebody can contribute for my project, or some team can contribute for my project. That's the first thing. So the second thing, maybe just it will come after the conversation. Conversation will follow. So what gaps we can identify with this conversation. For example, the team I am checking may have time or not, or is there any expertise who can contribute in my project further? Is there any time commitment from the team? So these things are very important. And the other thing is that in terms of track record, track record is very important. Usually in Australia, it is a very big challenge, especially in for people like us, for early care researchers. This is really very challenging. So I usually try to co-opt myself to very senior people so that I can be easily getting some experience. Yes, I know how much challenging it is here in Australia. Very competitive funding, very competitive teams are applying everywhere, in every institution, in a single stream, in a single grant opportunity. So you have to be very smart in the way that how you're gonna select your teams, or how you're gonna be incorporated into another teams. So it's about selecting the best match.
All right, thank you, Dr. Mekonnen. And The same question for Professor Fujita. What do you do when you appraise your potential partnership prior to collaboration, especially when we do collaboration with industry, such like what you do in University of Osaka? Do you do like a screening before selecting a appropriate partnership to do collaboration?
In the case of collaboration with industry, our laboratory already have one sponsored Mandam Corporation. So I think there are big differences between other laboratories. So I think there are difficulties to have a collaboration with industry, especially in our laboratory. Okay. We can have a collaboration with academic laboratory, university, other institute. Okay.
Okay. Maybe you can share with us how do we initiate a collaboration with an industry. Maybe you can share your experience with the collaboration of Osaka University with the Mandam Corporation.
Yeah. I think the information is very important. So we firstly we search in a conference or academic meeting, and we get the information, the very interesting laboratory. There is interesting laboratory. So we try to contact the PI in laboratory, and we communicate. We start to communicate. And if we can have same goal with between other laboratory, so we have a NDA, and we start collaborative study.
Okay, thank you, Professor Fujita. There's another question. I think it can be for all of the speakers. There is a question from Ms. Kesnita. What are the strategies that could be done by a junior researchers to initiate research collaboration with a senior researcher from a reputable university? Professor Kras, first.
Okay. Well, I think I kind of touched on this a bit in my talk. I think a junior researcher could obviously, if it's possible for them to come and spend, a short time or do a sabbatical or do a visit or something that they can reach out and say, look, I'm interested in learning, some techniques, or I'm interested in your area. Is it possible for me to come and spend some time? And I think that way you can show your capabilities, I guess, and uncover areas of interest. And it's very much what I did in the first stage of my career. I mentioned the two people that I organized my sabbatical. I had met them at a conference, and I reached out to them and I said, look, I'm really interested either in learning some techniques or methodologies, or I'm interested in doing learning about more about your research. Can I come and spend some time? And that then worked extremely well. But you probably can do this, virtually now to some extent. I guess you can have those conversations. But I think it's really about if you're enthusiastic and you've got ideas, you pitch those ideas to the senior researcher, and then they may or may not be interested. But that's really, I think, the main way that you can do it. Or if you happen to meet them at a conference and so on, and you're showing your work, and you try to you try to say, well, look, this is this is what I'm doing. I know it sort of concords with your area of interest. And is there any way that I can, that I could come, and work with you or spend some time? I mean, usually I think people are, if you approach it the right way, people can be quite responsive, depending on their time commitments and so on. So it really is very variable. But essentially, you've got to pitch. You've got to pitch to the other party and make them think that it's worth their while. Giving you some time, or engaging in a conversation or a collaboration. That's really all I can say on the subject. It's quite, yeah. I guess if there's a particular fund of money that's available, there might be a granting scheme that actually allows you to collaborate, then you can pitch that to somebody that you want to work with, and I'm sure most people usually respond quite favourably, as long as you do the work. You write the grant, and then if it happens to be successful, then that can actually lead to other things and so on. So I'll let the others share their opinions.
Okay. So when junior researchers try to negotiate with senior researchers with have more experience and achievement, do you think what can we do to make them believe that we are the junior researchers have a potential to be valuable for the collaboration?
Do you want me to answer that?
Yeah.
Well, I think the answer to that is that you have to demonstrate. It's like any I guess any request to a more senior researcher. You have to be able to share your publication, demonstrate that these are some of my publications, this is my CV, this is what my expertise is in, and I think it's really about that they need evidence. It comes down to some evidence, and tangible evidence usually comes from publications and successful grants and skill sets and so on. So it's really no different to when you're trying to apply for a job or trying to apply for promotion. It's the same process, if you will, to convince others that you actually have the capability to and that you've got something to offer, essentially.
Okay. Thank you very much, Professor Kras. Unfortunately, we have a very limited time, and some of the speakers need to leave the webinar. So this concludes the second discussion session. Thank you once again for all of the speakers. Mm-hmm. If any participant have another question, maybe they can directly contact you in your contact, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay. As a token of appreciation to all speakers for joining us in today's webinar, allow me to present the certificate of appreciation on behalf of the committee and the dean. Firstly, the certificate of appreciation for Professor Ines Kras. Thank you very much for your time. Second certificate of appreciation is for Dr. Iman Harimawan, if you're still with us. Thank you very much, Doctor. Another certificate of appreciation is given to Dr. Mekonnen. Thank you, Doctor. And lastly, but not least, for Professor Fujita, thank you very much for your time joining us today. Appreciation is also given to all participants for joining us today. For closing, here is an announcement from the committee. The link for the attendance list has been closed. All participants are required to fill out the evaluation form on the link below. It will be dropped, the link, in the chat box. That's available for today until 3 p.m. GMT +7. And certificate of participation will be sent via email within 10 days, excluding weekends and holidays. Ladies and gentlemen, this wraps up the webinar today. Big thank you to everyone. See you in the next webinar of Faculty of Pharmacy Universitas Airlangga. I am Putri Paramita Off. Have a very good day.